Hello everyone. My name is Janine Gallizia. Today, I'm excited to reveal one of the best-kept secrets in watercolor painting, the power of structure. In just 30 minutes, we'll dive into techniques that will transform your art. Let's get started.
All right, so what I'm going to do, because I already wanted grey in this sort of area, so that's fine. I'm going to take this strong yellow and I'm quite literally going to throw it. Quite strong, but watery. Look at this. It runs down across this part of the painting, but not this one. I will bring it down here, okay, because I want this white around my little tower. I don't want white around these buildings. So to balance it, I'm going to put the yellow above. This is so simple. And now yellow on this side, yellow on this side. Everyone's happy. I have white around my focal point, and I have eliminated the white behind this dominant building, which is too dominant. And look at that. That's one problem solved. I want to keep that reflection going in the water below. So relieving the whites. Look at my line. It's a mess. This is little miss, not perfect. All right. I do not want a perfect line here. If the line is perfect, straight, and continuous, it's boring. The fact that it's up and down and there's stuff going on, it creates the illusion of stuff. That's what I want. So I'm taking a lot of paint here. I'm scooping up into my water. I'm keeping a space. And I'm actually going to throw that yellow down, okay? And we're just going to bring it down. All right. Who knows what we're going to end up with, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. And if it's not, it doesn't matter. We're just going to have fun anyway. All right, take off those water, that excess water. All right, and I will take my brush with not so much water in it. So what I'm doing now, I've cleaned it. The reserve of your brush is here. It's not the tip, it's here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take paper and I'm going to squeeze the bottom part, the reserve. So I've emptied the water from the reserve. My tip is still wet. So I'm just going to smudge. I took out too much. I'm just going to smudge off that line so it's not too hard. But I don't have huge dribbles that follow down because I emptied the reserve. All right? All right. So I already have an atmosphere going on. Let's take off this water as well. So the structure of this, which we're going to paint in a very, what do they call it? Contre-jour, a background lighting, let's just say it like that. This is going to be one giant shape. Therefore, I'm going to need this to dry because if I start going back into this shape now, it's going to fuse and make a mess in my sky. So as I'm not just imperfect, I'm also extremely impatient. So I'm going to try and do something else, but it's not just because I'm impatient. What I want to do is I want to paint all of the fused edges now, and you don't have to hurry. You can take 2 days to do this and there would not be a problem. There is absolutely no reason to stress about time when it comes to watercolor. That is one thing that annoys me because you don't need to. Watercolor, there is no perfect time. It's always a good time. So take that notion of stress away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to darken already this bottom line. I'm not touching the top. That's going to fuse. I just want to play around with this darker line because that can fuse. But I want to stay transparent. Burnt sienna. Let's go for violet. If there's any left on my palette. I didn't want to put any fresh violet on because I end up picking too much up. So I'm not going to do the roof line. I'm already just throwing some down. And I'm actually a lot more orange here. And I want to keep this moist and I want to keep this fluid. So, you know, just anything goes, but I'm darkening a little bit that bottom part of the painting. I need to bring a bit more water in. It's a little bit too dry for me. I like it when it moves. All right. Okay, I don't need to worry about this top bit. Don't try and even go up to the line. Okay, there's a time for everything. It's not the time. You'll give yourself a problem. I do want this burnt sienna. This strong, quite strong here. So this is pure. I'm picking up a lot of it and I'm literally letting it run down to the bottom. If it doesn't run far enough, take a spray bottle from a distance of about, if this was my bottle and this is my sheet, about that distance. Don't keep the bottle spraying in one area, just move the bottle so it sprays all of the sheet. So I'm aiming at this corner.
Learning watercolor painting is not as difficult as it might seem at first glance. The key is to find a teacher who truly inspires creativity. As for me, Andy Evanson will always be my #1 choice. I'd like to take this opportunity to recommend his best online webinar series, Week of Watercolor, which has greatly helped me improve my skills. Follow the link in the description and register for free. See you there.
And that way, this yellow underwash will be a little moistened a little bit extra, and so it will be able to fuse with that burnt sienna. You see how this is already creating sort of like a silhouette and a reflection. Let's do it again. Let's reflect this building here. Okay, and that I'm really accentuating even more that white line in between the building and its reflection, right? And that's making all of this sort of mixed together. I'm losing the definition of this side because I want to gain and focus on the definition on this side, all right? So you can't have definition here and definition here without thinking that the eyes are going to have to play ping pong to go from one side to the other. Lose the definition here. So that's already coming into painting the wet stuff, the fused stuff. And notice I'm not touching this bit. I'll get to that when it's dry. All right, cool. Maybe that's a little bit boring. It's not too boring, but maybe we can put something even brighter in there still. Here's my schmink. Oh, that's Windsor Red, that one. That's a tiny little bit of schmink. Sanilli schmink. I can't remember. Translucent orange. That's here. That's balancing what I'm going to put here. So this is going to fuse off and just let it move. Don't control it, okay? And I'm going to put more over here. Maybe a little bit in between, just for fun. And look, that's already creating something interesting. I don't need to do anything more interesting than that. By now, that's still wet. So I won't go here. I would have liked to, but as it's still wet, I'm going to start with this bit, yeah, because it's dry here. So I can adapt. Let's start painting this little area here. And I'm going to paint this little tower with my burnt sienna and Windsor Violet. And I want a contrast so that they don't actually mix. And so you can put a blue on a yellow and everything is as you want it to be. If I put a blue that's transparent on top of this orangey color, it just becomes grey. The difference is, I think, just so obvious that you're probably going to rush out and buy white already. So I should have bought those shares before I gave this course, but it's too late now. So look at that. I can put blue wherever I like, as long as there's a little bit of white, just a little bit. You don't need a lot. It stays transparent and it stays blue. So that's my secret that nobody knows except you now. But use it because honestly, it's so fun and it's so cool. So I'm going to wet this horizon. We're going to have to start getting moving into this bigger shape. But see how it's all connected? This is dry, sort of. So I'm going to go into this shape here, but it can't be super contrasted. Otherwise, I'm going to lose this as my focal point. So again, the structure is always there. It's always that big shape. And all I'm doing now, this is the second video in my video course. This is where I explain that you use different tonal values to create attention, tonal value contrast and precision to create attention, less tonal value, less precision to reduce the quantity of attention. And that's all it is. So let's go here. That's not darkened. I do want it a bit dark. All right. Not a lot. All right, there we go. That'll do. slop it on because we do want it lively and not 100% overly controlled, because that becomes stiff. While I do this sort of shape, I will always finish the smaller shapes. I won't leave that and come back later, because after it looks like an add-on. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm making this corner a little bit darker, because you don't want the painting to be boring. As much contrast as I add here, I know I may have to add a little bit more contrast over there, but that doesn't worry me. I want contrast. Remember that that sketch that we did? This one, there it is. This one here. Without that strong contrast, we can't see the subject. So I do need to have some contrast. Otherwise, the subject's not going to stand out. So don't be scared of adding contrast. You can always go back in and increase the subject, your focal point, if you need to. All right, I'm adding some of that purple because that purple wasn't planned. And so now I have to sort of repeat it to make like it was planned. So just bluff it. No one will know it wasn't planned if you don't tell them. I won't tell them. All right, so soft edge there for several reasons. Again, I'm losing this area. I don't want it to be overly visible. Maybe even put a little bit of Windsor blue in there with that dribble down there. That'll just make it a little bit more interesting. Just a little bit of contrast. All right. That I can add some contrast, that I can add some detail, and we're back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw across something for the water. Perhaps I will put a little bit of detail, a bit darker. Two good colours which are great for darkening is this purple and green. Makes an awful colour, but you just change the colour with a bit of blue or burnt sienna, and it gives you great darks. Can go black if you want it to go all the way to black, it can. But I don't want black. I just want some little darker details, because otherwise everything will be a little bit too flat. You need to lift some of this. And as you can see, I am very delicate and I am very precise. Not really. When it comes to this sort of quick detail, because I don't want detail and I don't want precision. I want this all blended. All right, so I'm not going in with a soft fused edge for my structure and then come back in with hard details. It wouldn't make sense. Now we're going to connect all of that with, I can't do vertical lines. I have a hard time doing vertical lines. So if you can't do them either, do this. Put your painting on the side and just do them horizontally. And it's just so much easier. So that's one way of doing vertical lines that actually stay vertical. All right, some more. All right. Let's put okay, you have to breathe when you do this, huh? Don't hold your breath. Some people hold their breath and then after, you don't need to hold your breath. All right, okay. This, we can boost it up, put some more white, put some more blue, add some little movement to it. This will fuse. The water down here is wet enough that this white won't stay cakey, which it looks a bit at the moment, but it will fuse. So to be perfectly honest, look what we have. We have an atmosphere. We have sort of the beginning of something going on. It's this scene of Venice. And the whole scene is basically created by this shape, by this one big shape. There are areas in this shape that are more contrasted than others. And there are, areas which are less contrasted and have less details, less things going on. Yet everything is connected. So you can play around with this idea of structure. You can now add, play the details, do whatever you like to it, but the painting will work. This is why I say anybody can do this, because once you put that structure in, that big shape, you can finish it how you like. Someone will add less detail, someone will add more detail, but basically you're going to finish it in a way that suits you. But you start off with that structure, and then you're sort of guaranteed that the painting foundation is there, and it's just a matter of decorations after as to how defined or less defined you want to make it. So I could play around with this now for quite a while.